Why? Because they're heathens. That's the same thing that Yahushua said in the book of Matthew, the 10th chapter. It says, these 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go from there to the book of John, the 4th chapter. See, and there's the thing, you know, as we read the scripture earlier about the stumbling block. If you don't understand the scriptures and understand the things that were taking place in history and the things that happened until the time when the Lord came on the scene, and even until today, you're really not going to get these scriptures, because what was the purpose of the Lord going to, you know, and talking to this woman at the well if she was a heathen? But there's a reason behind that whole thing. But the Lord did it to set a stumbling block before those people that he don't want to receive this truth. You know, because even in the book of Isaiah, the 69th chapter, I'm sorry, not Isaiah, Psalms, the 69th chapter, which I'll get real quick. I believe it's around the 21st verse. This is what's written. You know, it's also written in Romans 11th chapter. Right here it says, Psalm 69 and 22. It says, let their table become a snare before them, and that which should have been for their welfare, let it become a trap. Let their eyes be darkened that they see not, and make their loins continually to shake. You know, so basically the Lord said that what is to have been for their benefit? The Bible. And what did he say? Let the Bible become unto them a trap and a snare. Okay, why? Because the Lord, there's certain people that the Lord doesn't want. He has an election among the nation of Israel, and that's the ones that he wants to deliver and save. So when Yahushua came to this woman at the well, this was written for a reason, which when you read the book of John, the 4th chapter, it doesn't really explain what was taking place at the time. But the Lord only wanted just so much information to come out. So when he came to the woman at the well, right, this is what he said to her. This is what the woman said to him. The woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. And the reason why she said that was because he told her, go and get your husband. And the reason why he told her to go get her husband, it's not written in the scriptures, is because her husband was an Israelite that was mingled among those Samaritans. And that's the mystery of the reason why the Lord went to these Samaritans in the city. And the reason why he told the disciples not to go to them was because they weren't on the level to be able to discern between who was an Israelite and who was not. Okay? But he had that power, so he was able to look through people and look in their spirit and know exactly who they were. All right? That's how he was able to go to the disciples and pick them out, the ones that the Lord had already gave to him. All right? So it says, this is what the woman said. After she said, the woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Okay? And then basically, when he told her to go get a husband, she said, I don't have a husband. And he said, you have well said, because you have had 5 husbands. That's why she said that she perceived he was a prophet. She said, this is what she said, our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and you say that in Jerusalem is a place where men ought to worship. Because when you know the history, you know that they set up in the land of Samaria, in Shechem, they set up temples, they set up, you know, they were keeping the customs, but they were still worshiping their idols. So that's why she said that our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and you say that in Jerusalem is a place where men ought to worship. So there was a community of these heathens that were in there. But you also had Israelites among them. And we're going to show you how those Israelites got there. Yahushua said unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when you shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Why did he say that? Because she was a heathen. She wasn't an Israelite. You worship you know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. All right, and the reason why he didn't say salvation of the Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and the Israelites was because them people back then, the heathens, they didn't understand the difference between the different tribes. They just knew them by one name, the Jews, which that term came about during the time of the Babylonians. They didn't call them Judah, Benjamin, Levi, you know, any other different tribes. They just basically called them Judeans. All right, so that's where that term Jews came from, Judeans. All right, so that's why he said salvation is of the Jews, because if he would have started trying to break down the different tribes, she wouldn't have understood what he was saying. That's why he said, you worship you know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father seeketh such to worship him. All right, now I'm going to read on down because, it goes into her saying that she perceived that he's the Messiah, so on and so forth, because they knew about the law, to show you that they were following the law to a certain degree, but they didn't have the whole thing because it wasn't for them. And the Lord did that as a punishment to us and kicked us out of our land and put the heathens up in there, just like he did to the land of Jerusalem eventually. All right. Just bear with me real quick here. It says 39th verse. It says, and many of the Samaritans of that city believed on him for the saying of the woman, which testified, he told me all that ever I did. So these Samaritans that believed were Israelites, not the heathens. The Samaritans that believed were Israelites, because they knew that these things were so, because they used to read the Torah. They used, the Israelites that were there, they were keeping the laws to, to the best of their ability. All right, but they were also doing other things, which we'll show you. So when the Samaritans would come unto him, they besought him that he would tarry with them, and he abode there 2 days. And many more believed because of his own word. So basically, these were Israelites, because when you read up above, the story above, matter of fact, let me see if I can find that verse real quick. Let me see if this verse 7. There cometh a woman of Samaria. Now Jacob's well was there. This is John 4 and 6. Now Jacob's well was there. Yahushua therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yahushua saith unto her, give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. See, going back to what? Going back to Ezra the 4th chapter, where Zerubbabel and Joshua said, look, you have nothing to do to build with us. We're going to build by ourselves. Why? Because they were heathens. And that was a well-established fact, that those Samaritans were heathens. But you had Israelites among them. That's the secret. That's the mystery. It says, Yahushua answered unto her, if thou knewest the gift of the Most High, and who it is that saith to thee, give me drink, thou wouldst have asked him, and he would have given thee living water. Which, the reason why he said that to her, he basically was just playing her, because he knew she wasn't an Israelite. How do you know? When you read down further down, as we read earlier, that he told her that the Lord seeks for, he told the woman that she doesn't know what she worships, for salvation is of the Jews. The woman saith unto him, sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Yahushua answered and said unto her, whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water, springing up into everlasting life. The woman saith unto him, sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Yahushua said unto her, go call thy husband and come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Yahushua said unto her, thou hast well said, I have no husband. I was looking for the scripture. It's in here somewhere, where the disciples basically told him to send the woman away, I believe it was. Right. So basically, the Jews had no dealings with the Samaritans. All right. So now, what I want to do is I want to go from here to the book of Josephus, real quick. I got it on here. Just bear with me 1 second. All right. Here it goes. Right here. This is Antiquity of the Jews. Move it over a little. Antiquities of the Jews, book 11, chapter 8, section 6, and section 7. So it says, so when Alexander had thus settled matters at Jerusalem, now we're going to find out why Yahushua stayed there in Samaria, and why Yahushua taught told a woman to go get a husband, and he taught certain of those Samaritans, and they believed because they were Israelites. So when Alexander had thus settled matters at Jerusalem, talking about Alexander the Creep, he led his army into the neighboring cities, and when all the inhabitants to whom he came received him with great kindness, the Samaritans, who had then Shechem for their metropolis, a city situate at Mount Gerizim, and inhabited by apostates of the Jewish nation. See, so these men were here in Shechem. There's a mountain there. They had a temple there. You know, them Hamites, they had a temple there. But you had Israelites that were in there that they were considered to be apostates. That's why it says the Samaritans, who had then Shechem for their metropolis, a city situate at Mount Gerizim and inhabited by apostates of the Jewish nation. And this is what took place. It says, now, let me move this up a little bit. Now when Alexander was dead, the government was parted among his successors, but the temple upon Mount Gerizim, which would remain, which is talking about that temple in Shechem, which I showed you a little while ago. And if anyone were accused by those of Jerusalem of having eaten things common, in other words, if somebody was found in Jerusalem was blamed for breaking the law or eating common things or anything unclean, right, or having broken the Sabbath, which is talking about Jews, or of any other crime of the like nature, he fled away to the Shechemites and said that he was accused unjustly. About this time, okay, so basically what happened was you had Israelites that were fleeing into Shechem. Let me bring this back up.